The transport shuttle hummed as it approached Station Valoris, a massive structure that floated in the darkness of space like a silver giant. Inside the passenger cabin, Taemin pressed his face against the window and watched the station grow larger. His heart beat faster with each passing moment. This was it. The Galactic Military Academy, the place where the best warriors from across the universe came to train. Taemin looked down at his reflection in the dark glass. He saw a young man with black hair and nervous eyes. He wore a simple gray jumpsuit, the standard clothing for new cadets. In his hands, he held a duffel bag that contained everything he owned. It was not much. Earth did not have the fancy technology that other planets had. Earth was a small planet that most species in the galaxy had never heard of. Until recently, nobody even knew humans existed. The shuttle docked with a heavy clunk that echoed through the metal walls. A computerized voice announced their arrival. Taemin stood up, grabbed his bag, and followed the other passengers toward the exit. As he walked down the ramp into the station, he felt the artificial gravity pull at his body. It felt lighter than Earth's gravity. He had read that most species preferred it this way. To them, Earth's gravity was too strong, too crushing. The docking bay was enormous. Ships of all sizes filled the space. Mechanical arms moved cargo containers through the air. Aliens of different shapes and colors walked in every direction. Taemin had seen pictures of other species before, but seeing them in person was different. It was overwhelming. He followed the signs that pointed toward the academy entrance. After walking for nearly 20 minutes through corridors filled with shops and restaurants, he finally reached the main security gate. A long line of cadets waited to pass through. Taemin joined the line and studied the people ahead of him. The cadet at the front of the line was massive. He stood at least 8 feet tall and had 4 thick arms covered in dark purple scales. His name tag read Hyunwoo, and beneath it were symbols that Taemin could not read. The alien species name, probably. Hyunwoo stepped through a tall archway that glowed with blue light. A screen above the arch displayed information in multiple languages. It showed his species classification, threat assessment, and clearance level. The display flashed orange, indicating a moderate threat level. Next in line was a female cadet with skin that looked like it was made of clear crystal. Light bent and reflected inside her body, creating rainbow patterns. Her movements were smooth and graceful. The name tag on her uniform said Ji-won. When she passed through the scanner, the display showed yellow, low to moderate threat. Behind her stood another male cadet, this one shorter but powerfully built. His skin had a metallic sheen to it, and Taemin could see mechanical implants running along his arms and neck. His name was Dae-hyun, and he carried himself with obvious pride. When he walked through the scanner, it flashed orange-red. High moderate threat. Dae-hyun turned around while waiting for his clearance and noticed Taemin for the first time. His eyes narrowed as he looked the human up and down. Then he smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Did they start accepting merchants now? Dae-hyun said loudly enough for others to hear. He spoke in Galactic Common, the language that all species learned for communication. Hyunwoo, the large four-armed alien, turned to look. When he saw Taemin, he laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound. Maybe he is lost. The civilian sector is 3 levels down. Ji-won, the crystal-skinned female, tilted her head as she studied Taemin. What species is that? I have never seen one before. Probably from some backwater planet, Dae-hyun said. Look at him. No armor plating, no enhanced bones, no natural weapons. How did something like that even get accepted into the academy? Taemin felt heat rise in his face, but he said nothing. He had expected this. Earth was unknown. Humans were unknown. Of course, they would not take him seriously. He would just have to prove himself through his actions. The line moved forward. It was Taemin's turn to pass through the scanner. He took a deep breath and walked toward the glowing archway. The 3 cadets who had mocked him stood off to the side, waiting to see his classification. They were probably expecting something embarrassing. Maybe the scanner would classify him as a non-combatant. Maybe it would suggest he belonged in an administrative role. Taemin stepped through the archway. For a moment, nothing happened. The blue light swept over his body from head to toe. Then the scanner made a sound that Taemin had not heard from any of the other cadets. It was a sharp, piercing alarm that made everyone in the area stop and turn. The display above the arch flashed bright crimson red. The color was so intense it hurt to look at. Bold text appeared in letters large enough to read from across the room. EARTHBORN, Class 10 threat, do not engage without authorization. Beneath that, another warning flashed. Deathworlder detected. The alarm continued to wail. Taemin stood frozen in the archway, not understanding what was happening. Around him, the entire gate area had gone silent. Security officers in black armor rushed forward, their weapons raised but not pointed at him. They took defensive positions, their body language tense and ready. Dae-Hyun had stopped smiling. His metallic face had gone pale, and he took several steps backward. Hyun-woo's forearms moved to his sides, a defensive posture that Taemin recognized from his training materials. Even Ji-won, who had seemed merely curious before, now looked at him with something that might have been fear. "What is going on?" Taemin asked, but his voice was lost in the noise of the alarm. Heavy footsteps approached from behind the security checkpoint. An older alien in a commander's uniform pushed through the crowd of guards. He was tall and lean, with gray skin and eyes that were completely black. Scars covered his arms and neck. His name tag identified him as Commander Woo Jin. The commander looked at the display, then at Taemin, then back at the display. His expression was unreadable. "Shut off that alarm," he ordered. One of the security officers pressed a button and the wailing stopped. The silence that followed was almost as loud. Commander Woo Jin approached Taemin slowly. He stopped a few feet away and studied the human with his dark eyes. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. "So the rumors are true," he said. "Terra has finally sent one of theirs." Taemin swallowed hard. "Sir, I do not understand. What does the scanner mean? What is a Deathworlder?" The commander's expression softened slightly, though he still looked wary. "Come with me, Cadet. We need to talk. There are things about your planet that you clearly do not know, things that the rest of the galaxy has feared for a very long time." As Taemin followed Commander Woo Jin away from the gate, he looked back and saw the other cadets staring at him. Nobody was laughing now. Nobody was mocking him. They looked at him the way prey looks at a predator. Taemin did not understand why, but deep in his chest something ancient and primal stirred. Something that had been sleeping. Something that his ancestors had needed to survive on a world that tried to kill them every single day. The scanner had seen it. Now everyone else would too. Commander Woo Jin's office was located deep inside the Academy's administrative section. The walls were covered with medals, certificates, and pictures of the commander with various military officials from across the galaxy. Taemin sat in a chair that was designed for someone much larger than him. His feet barely touched the floor. The commander stood by the window looking out at the stars. He had not spoken since they entered the room. The silence made Taemin uncomfortable, but he did not want to be the first one to break it. He had learned early in life that sometimes staying quiet was the smart choice. Finally, Commander Woo Jin turned around. He moved to his desk and activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air between them. The first image was a planet. It looked like Earth. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It was beautiful. "Do you know what the Galactic Archive is?" the commander asked. Taemin nodded. "It is the central database that contains information about all known planets and species in the galaxy." "Correct. And do you know how your planet is classified in that database?" Taemin shook his head. "No, sir. I assumed Earth was listed as a developing world or maybe a Class 5 civilization." The commander's expression was grim. "Your planet is not classified by its civilization level. It is classified by its danger level." He pressed a button, and new text appeared beneath the image of Earth. The words were in red: "Class 10 Deathworld Forbidden Zone, do not approach." Taemin stared at the words. "I do not understand. Earth is dangerous to who?" "To everyone," the commander said. He sat down in his chair and leaned forward. "Let me tell you a story. Thousands of years ago, a precursor exploration ship entered your star system. The precursors were an advanced species that existed long before most of the current galactic civilization. They mapped thousands of worlds. When they found a planet with life, they would land and study it. The hologram changed to show an ancient-looking spacecraft. It was elegant and streamlined, covered in symbols that Taemin did not recognize. The precursor ship detected life on the third planet in your system," Commander Woo Jin continued. "They sent a landing team down to investigate. They were scientists, not soldiers. They had no reason to expect danger. After all, they had done this hundreds of times before. The hologram showed a group of aliens in environmental suits walking through a forest. They looked peaceful, curious. Then the image changed to show something else. Something that made Taemin lean forward. Within 6 hours of landing, half the team was dead, the commander said quietly. They were killed by local predators. Not one predator, mind you. Multiple species. Your planet has more predatory species than any other world the precursors had encountered. The surviving team members made it back to their ship, but many of them were injured. Some had been poisoned by local plants. Others had contracted diseases from the air and water. Taemin frowned. But Earth's environment is normal. At least it is normal for us. Exactly, Commander Woojin said. Normal for you. Not normal for anyone else. The precursors sent one final message before their ship went silent. That message is still in the Galactic Archive. Would you like to hear it? Taemin nodded slowly. The commander pressed another button. A voice filled the room. It was speaking in a language Taemin did not know, but the computer translated it into Galactic Common. The voice sounded terrified. Survival impossible. Native predators too numerous. Gravity crushing. Atmospheric toxins overwhelming. The pressure is breaking our bodies. The diseases are killing us faster than we can treat them. This world kills. This world kills everything. Do not come here. Mark this place as forbidden. If anything ever evolves to sentience on this nightmare planet, pray to the stars that it never leaves. The recording ended. Silence filled the office again. Taemin did not know what to say. That message was about Earth? About his home? It seemed impossible. Yes, Earth had dangerous animals. Yes, people got sick sometimes, but it was not a nightmare. It was just life. That message became legend, Commander Woojin said. For thousands of years, no one dared to visit your planet. Earth was marked as a Class 10 death world, the highest danger rating that exists. Only 3 other planets in the known galaxy share that classification. The species that evolve on death worlds are considered the most lethal, most adaptable, and most resilient in existence. The commander stood up and walked around his desk. He stopped in front of Taemin and looked down at him. Let me tell you what makes you dangerous, he said. You evolved on a planet where the gravity is nearly twice what most species consider comfortable. Your bones are denser than ours. Your muscles are stronger. You can carry loads that would crush smaller species. Taemin had never thought about it that way. On the station, everything felt lighter. He had assumed it was just the artificial gravity being lower than normal. He had not realized that his normal was everyone else's extreme. Your planet is filled with diseases. The commander continued. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. Your immune system had to evolve to fight threats that would kill most of us within hours. You can survive infections that would be fatal to 90% of the galaxy. That was true, Taemin realized. He had learned in school about the various plagues and diseases that had swept through human history. Millions had died, yes, but millions more had survived. Humans adapted. They always did. You eat poison for pleasure, Commander Woojin said. Capsaicin, ethanol, caffeine. These are toxic substances that you consume because you enjoy the sensation. Do you know what capsaicin does to my species? It causes immediate paralysis and organ failure. You put it on your food to add flavor. Taemin thought about the spicy noodles his mother used to make. He had never considered them poisonous. Your endurance is unmatched in the galaxy, the commander said. Most species need rest after a few hours of activity. You can run for days. You can function on minimal sleep. You heal from broken bones in weeks instead of months. You can survive in environments that would kill others. The commander returned to his chair and sat down heavily. He suddenly looked tired. But perhaps the most dangerous thing about humans is not your physical capabilities, he said. It is your psychology. You survive things that would break other species mentally. War, famine, disaster. You endure. You adapt. You find ways to laugh in the darkness. That kind of resilience is terrifying to species that have never had to fight for survival the way you do. Taemin sat quietly, processing everything he had heard. His whole life he had thought of himself as average. On Earth he was just another person. Not particularly strong, not particularly smart, not particularly special. But here in the galaxy he was something else entirely. Why did Earth send me here? Taemin asked. If the galaxy fears us so much, why did we join? Because fear and respect are not so different, Commander Woojin said. The galaxy has watched your planet from a distance for centuries. We have seen you survive ice ages, plagues, wars. We have seen you split the atom and reach for the stars. Eventually, the Galactic Council decided that humanity could not be ignored any longer. Better to welcome you as allies than to have you arrive as conquerors. We would never conquer anyone, Taman said. The commander smiled slightly. I believe you. But not everyone does. Your presence here will be controversial. Some will admire you. Others will fear you. And some will hate you simply for existing. He leaned forward. My advice to you, cadet, is this: be careful. Your classmates will see you differently now. Use that wisely. Show them that humans are not monsters. Show them that strength and compassion can exist in the same being. Taman nodded. I will try, sir. Good, now go to your barracks. Get some rest. Your real training begins tomorrow. As Taman left the office, his mind was spinning. Everything had changed. A few hours ago, he was just a nervous cadet hoping to prove himself. Now he was a death-worlder, a creature from a nightmare planet, something to be feared. He did not feel like a monster. He felt like Taman, a young man far from home trying his best. But as he walked through the corridors of the academy, he noticed how others looked at him now. They stepped aside when he approached. They whispered as he passed. And in their eyes he saw something he had never seen directed at him before. Fear. Taman wondered if he would ever be seen as just another cadet again. Or if from now on he would always be the human, the death-worlder, the thing that should not exist. The cadet barracks were located in the lower levels of the academy. The room Taman had been assigned was small but functional. It contained a bed, a desk, a storage locker, and a small bathroom. The walls were bare metal. There was a window, but it looked out at the interior of the station rather than at space. Taman set his duffel bag on the bed and sat down beside it. His body felt strange. The lighter gravity made him feel like he might float away if he was not careful. Everything required less effort here. Even breathing felt easier. He heard voices in the hallway outside. Other cadets were arriving at their assigned rooms. Taman considered going out to introduce himself, but he remembered the looks he had received. The fear in their eyes. Maybe it was better to wait. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Taman stood up and pressed the button to open it. Standing in the doorway was a female cadet he had not seen before. She was shorter than him, with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Her hair moved on its own, floating around her head like she was underwater. Her name tag read Mirai. Hello, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. You are the human, yes? Taman nodded slowly. Yes, my name is Taman. I am Mirai, she said. I am Silthian. We are an empathic species. I can feel emotions from other beings. She tilted her head slightly. You feel confused and lonely, but not angry. That is interesting. Why is that interesting? Taman asked. Because everyone is saying you are dangerous, Mirai said simply. They say you are from a death world, that you are a predator, but I do not feel danger from you. I feel curiosity and kindness, she smiled. I wanted to meet you, to see if the rumors were true. Taman did not know what to say. This was the first person at the academy who had approached him without fear. May I come in? Mirai asked. Taman stepped aside and gestured for her to enter. She walked into his room and looked around with interest. Your quarters are the same as mine, she said. I was worried they might put you in a special containment area or something. Taman laughed despite himself. I am not that dangerous. Perhaps not, Mirai said. But the others believe you are. That will make things difficult for you. The academy is competitive. Cadets here want to prove they are the best. Many will see you as a challenge. Others will see you as a threat. I just want to learn, Taman said. I want to become a good officer. I do not want to fight with anyone. Mirai's expression became serious. You may not have a choice. Tomorrow we begin the combat trials. All new cadets must pass them. The trials are designed to test our limits. They are supposed to be difficult. What kind of trials? Taman asked. Different challenges. Endurance tests, combat simulations, survival scenarios. Your performance determines your class ranking. Those who rank highest get better assignments after graduation. Those who rank lowest, she trailed off. What happens to those who rank lowest? They are sent to frontier stations, dangerous places, or they are expelled from the academy entirely. Taman nodded. Then I will do my best. Mirai smiled again. I think you will surprise many people, Taman. I look forward to seeing it. After she left, Taman tried to sleep. But his mind kept racing, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. Morning came quickly. A loud alarm woke all the cadets at the same time. Taemin dressed in his training uniform, a simple black outfit with protective padding. He joined the stream of cadets heading toward the training facility. The facility was enormous. It took up an entire section of the station. Inside, there were obstacle courses, combat arenas, simulation chambers, and equipment that Taemin could not even identify. An instructor stood at the front of the assembled cadets. She was tall and covered in what looked like thick fur. Her voice boomed across the room. "Welcome to the combat trials. For the next 3 days, you will be tested. Today's challenge is the endurance course. You will run 50 kilometers through various terrain types. The course includes obstacles, environmental hazards, and stamina checkpoints. Most cadets complete this in 8 to 12 hours. Anyone who takes longer than 15 hours fails. 50 kilometers. Taemin had run that distance before during his training on Earth. It had been difficult, but he had managed it. The cadets were led to the starting line. The course stretched out before them, disappearing into a simulated forest environment. Taemin noticed Daehyun standing nearby. The metallic-skinned cadet glared at him but said nothing. The instructor raised her hand. "Begin!" Immediately, cadets surged forward. Some sprinted at full speed right away. Others started at a slower, more measured pace. Taemin fell into the second group. He knew from experience that starting too fast would leave him exhausted later. The first few kilometers were through flat terrain. Taemin found a steady rhythm. His breathing was controlled. His legs felt strong. Around him, other cadets were already starting to slow down. The station's gravity was comfortable for them, but the distance was still challenging. The course changed. They entered a section where the gravity increased. Taemin felt the familiar pull of Earth's gravity return. Many cadets around him stumbled. Some fell to their hands and knees, struggling against the sudden weight. But for Taemin, it felt normal. He maintained his pace while others fought just to keep moving. Next came the obstacles. Walls to climb, gaps to jump, tunnels to crawl through. Taemin's denser bones and stronger muscles gave him advantages he had never realized he had. He pulled himself up walls that others needed mechanical assistance to climb. He jumped gaps that left other cadets stranded, waiting for automated platforms to help them across. Hours passed. The course took them through water, through heat, through cold. Each environment was designed to challenge a different aspect of endurance. Taemin pushed through all of it. His body ached, yes. His lungs burned, yes. But he was used to discomfort. On Earth, you learn to ignore pain. You learn to keep moving even when everything hurt. When Taemin finally crossed the finish line, he checked his time. 4 hours and 12 minutes. He looked around and realized something strange. He was the first one to finish. The viewing area where instructors watched the course was full of people staring at him. Some looked impressed. Others looked worried. Over the next 8 hours, other cadets trickled in. Many were carried on stretchers, too exhausted to walk. Yunwoo, the large four-armed alien, finished in 9 hours. He looked at Taemin with what might have been respect. Mireille finished in 11 hours, smiling despite her obvious exhaustion. Daehyun arrived near the 12-hour mark. His face was twisted with anger. When he saw Taemin sitting calmly in the recovery area, that anger intensified. "You cheated," Daehyun said loudly. "There is no way you finished that fast without help." Taemin looked at him calmly. "I did not cheat. I just ran. Impossible. You are from a primitive planet. You should not even be here." An instructor approached before Daehyun could say more. "Cadet Daehyun, return to your quarters. You need rest. Tomorrow's trial begins early." Daehyun glared at Taemin one more time before stalking away. Mireille sat down beside Taemin. "You made an enemy today." "I did not mean to," Taemin said. "It does not matter. Some people cannot accept being second best." She looked at him curiously. "How do you feel?" "You ran 50 kilometers in just over 4 hours." Taemin considered the question. "Tired, but not too bad. On Earth, I used to run every morning, usually about 10 kilometers. 50 is longer, but the technique is the same. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other." Mireille shook her head in wonder. "What kind of world produces people like you?" "A difficult one," Taemin said quietly. "But it is home." That night, Taemin lay in his bed and thought about Earth. He thought about the forest where he used to run, the mountains he had climbed with his father, the ocean where he had learned to swim despite the strong currents and cold water. Things that had seemed normal at the time now felt different, special even. Maybe Earth was a death world. Maybe humans were unusual. But to Taemin, it was just life. And if that life had made him strong enough to excel here, then he would use that strength wisely. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The combat simulations. A chance to prove that humans were more than just physically capable, a chance to show that strength without control was nothing, and a chance to make friends out of those who currently feared him. Taemin closed his eyes and let sleep take him. Whatever came next, he would face it the same way he faced everything, one step at a time. The second day of trials brought combat simulations. Taemin woke early and made his way to the training facility. The halls were quieter than yesterday. Many cadets were still recovering from the endurance course. Some had been taken to the medical wing for treatment of injuries and exhaustion. In the training facility, cadets were being divided into squads. An instructor with 3 eyes and skin that looked like tree bark called out names from a datapad. Taemin, Mirai, Hyunwoo, and Bora. You are Squad 7. Taemin joined his assigned team. He already knew Mirai, the empathic Silthian with floating hair. Hyunwoo was the massive 4-armed alien who had mocked him at the gate. Bora was new to him. She was tiny, barely reaching Taemin's chest with delicate wings folded against her back. Her species was called Etherian and she looked nervous. Great, Hyunwoo muttered, looking at Taemin. We get the Death Worlder. Is that a problem? Taemin asked calmly. Hyunwoo's forearms crossed over his chest. It means everyone will target us. They will want to see if the human is really as dangerous as the scanner said. Then we will just have to work together, Mirai said. Fighting among ourselves helps no one. The instructor explained the simulation. Each squad would defend a position against waves of holographic enemies. The enemies would get stronger and more numerous with each wave. The simulation would continue until the squad was overwhelmed, or until they held out for 30 minutes. Most squads lasted about 15 minutes. Squad 7 entered their assigned simulation chamber. It was a large room with walls that could project any environment. Today's scenario was a ruined city. Broken buildings surrounded them. The sky above was dark with smoke. Positions! The instructor's voice called through speakers. Hyunwoo took point, using his size to create a defensive wall. Bora flew up to a high position where she could watch for incoming enemies. Mirai stayed in the middle, ready to support whoever needed help. Taemin moved to cover their flank. The simulation began. Holographic soldiers appeared at the end of the street. They carried energy weapons and advanced in organized formations. The simulation was sophisticated enough that getting hit would register as injury. Get hit too many times and you would be marked as eliminated. Hyunwoo charged forward with a battle cry. His forearms wielded training weapons, striking at the holographic enemies. Bora provided covering fire from above. Mirai used her empathic abilities to predict enemy movements, calling out warnings to the team. Taemin held his position, watching the flanks. He noticed patterns in how the enemies moved. They were following programmed tactics, predictable. He used that knowledge to set up ambush points. The first wave was easy. The second wave was harder. The third wave brought larger enemies with heavier weapons. Squad 7 adapted, working together better with each wave. They made it to 15 minutes, matching the average. Then 20 minutes. Then 25. At the 27-minute mark, Bora made a mistake. She flew too low while repositioning and took multiple hits. The simulation registered her as wounded. She crashed to the ground, her wings unable to support her. Bora is down, Mirai shouted. Hyunwoo was pinned by enemy fire. Mirai was too far away. That left Taemin. He did not think about what to do next. His body simply moved. He sprinted toward Bora's position, sliding under enemy fire. He reached her and pulled her behind cover. Around them, more enemies appeared. More than should have been in the simulation. Something was wrong. The holographic enemies stopped following their programmed tactics. They all turned toward Taemin and Bora. They advanced as a single mass, overwhelming in their numbers. Something deep inside Taemin responded to the threat. His training on Earth, the survival instincts bred into him by generations of ancestors who had fought to live another day, all of it rose to the surface. He stopped trying to fight tactically. Instead, he fought instinctively. Taemin grabbed a broken piece of debris and threw it. His aim was perfect. The object struck a holographic enemy in the head, eliminating it. He grabbed another piece of rubble, then another. Each throw found its mark. His body moved with efficiency that surprised even him. He ducked, rolled, struck, and moved in patterns that felt natural despite never having practiced them. He pulled a metal pipe from the rubble and used it as a club. The holographic enemies registered the impacts. Taemin's strikes were fast and brutal. He protected Bo-Ra's position while the rest of his squad watched in shock. 3 minutes passed. Taemin held the line alone. His movements were fluid, his breathing controlled despite the intense activity. The simulation ended not because Squad 7 was overwhelmed, but because they reached the 30-minute mark. The holographic enemies disappeared. The ruined city faded back into blank walls. Taemin stood in the center of the chamber, still holding the metal pipe, his chest rising and falling steadily. Simulation complete, the instructor's voice announced. Squad 7 has achieved a perfect score. Hyunwoo approached Taemin slowly. His expression had changed completely from earlier. That was... I have never seen anyone fight like that. You saved my life, Bo-Ra said softly. Thank you. Mireille walked up to Taemin and placed her hand on his arm. Her silver eyes studied his face. When you were fighting, I felt your emotions. There was rage, yes, but also protection. You were not fighting to destroy. You were fighting to save. Taemin dropped the pipe. His hands were shaking slightly. I do not know what happened. I just reacted. You did what Deathworlders do, a voice said from the observation deck. Commander Wu Jin stood there watching them. You survived. Well done, all of you. As Squad 7 left the simulation chamber, Taemin noticed other cadets staring at him again, but this time mixed with the fear was something else. Respect, maybe, or admiration, but not everyone felt that way. Over the next few days, strange things began happening. During a zero-gravity combat exercise, Taemin's thruster pack malfunctioned. It sent him spinning toward a bulkhead at high speed. Only his quick reflexes saved him. He grabbed a cable and swung to safety, but the malfunction was clearly deliberate. Someone had tampered with his equipment. Another time, his training schedule was changed without notice. He showed up for the wrong session and was marked absent. When he complained, the administrative staff said they had no record of the change, but Taemin had received a message on his datapad with the new schedule. When he tried to show them, the message had been deleted. Anonymous messages appeared on his datapad. Go back to your death world, monster. Humans do not belong here. Leave before someone gets hurt. Taemin reported the incidents, but there was never any proof. Commander Wu Jin investigated but found nothing. Mireille grew worried. Someone is trying to force you out of the academy. Why? Taemin asked. What did I do wrong? You exist, Mireille said simply. Some people cannot accept that humans are part of the galaxy now. Bo-Ra, who had become friends with Taemin after he saved her, agreed. There are rumors. Some cadets think you have an unfair advantage because of your Death World evolution. They think you should not be allowed to compete. One evening, Mireille came to Taemin's quarters. She looked frightened, which was unusual for her. I need to tell you something, she said. I have been using my empathic abilities to sense deception among the cadets. I wanted to find out who was sabotaging you. Did you find them? Yes, but it is worse than we thought. It is not just a few jealous cadets. There is an organization behind it. They call themselves the Sovereignty. They believe humans are too dangerous to be allowed into the galaxy. They have agents throughout the academy. Taemin sat down heavily. What do they want? They want you to fail, or to leave, or... Mireille hesitated. Or worse. I followed Daehyun yesterday. He met with others in a restricted area. I could not hear everything, but I sensed their emotions. They were planning something. Something big. Should we tell Commander Wu Jin? We have no proof. Just my empathic impressions. That is not enough. The Sovereignty is careful. They leave no evidence, Taemin thought for a moment. Then we need to catch them in the act. We need proof that even the Academy cannot ignore. Bo-Ra arrived shortly after, and the three of them made a plan. They would watch Daehyun and his allies carefully. They would document everything. And when the Sovereignty made their next move, they would be ready. The next morning, an announcement was made. The final trial was approaching. It was called the Crucible. Cadets would be dropped onto a hostile moon and forced to survive for 72 hours while being hunted by automated drones. It was the Academy's ultimate test. As the announcement played, Taemin saw Daehyun smile. It was a smile that promised danger. Mireille gripped Taemin's arm. He knows something. The Sovereignty has done something to the Crucible. Then we will deal with it, Taemin said. Together. But deep down he felt a sense of unease. The crucible took place on a hostile environment. Accidents could happen. People could die. If the sovereignty wanted to eliminate the human cadet, this would be their best opportunity. Tae-min thought about Earth, about the forests and mountains and oceans that had shaped him, about the ancestors who had survived impossible odds. If the sovereignty wanted to test whether a human could survive, they were about to get their answer. Because humans did not give up. Humans did not run from danger. And humans did not fail. The drop pods launched at dawn. 72 cadets sealed inside individual pods ready to be scattered across the surface of Krell 5, a moon known for its hostile environment. Inside his pod, Tae-min checked his equipment one last time. Standard, survival knife, basic communicator, water purification tablets, emergency medical kit, and a week's worth of rations. Everything seemed normal. But Tae-min knew better. The sovereignty had plans. He just did not know what they were yet. The pod shook violently as it entered the moon's atmosphere. Through the small window, Tae-min saw red sky and dark clouds. The surface below was covered in dense jungle. The pod's computer aimed for a clearing, but at the last moment, the guidance system failed. Tae-min crashed through the canopy instead, branches breaking against the pod's exterior. He landed hard, the impact knocking the air from his lungs. When the pod doors opened, hot, humid air rushed in. The smell hit him immediately. Rotting vegetation, sulfur, and something else he could not identify. He climbed out and assessed his situation. The first problem was obvious. His equipment package was missing. The compartment that should have contained extra supplies was empty. Someone had removed them before launch. All he had was what he had checked personally: the knife, communicator, medical kit, and a few ration bars. The second problem was the environment. The temperature was over 40 degrees Celsius. The air was breathable but contained high levels of carbon dioxide. Most species would struggle in these conditions. For Tae-min, it was uncomfortable but manageable. Earth had places like this. Rainforests where the heat and humidity were oppressive. He had trained in them. He activated his communicator. Tae-min to command. My equipment package is missing. Confirm this was authorized. Static answered him. Either the communicator was broken or something was jamming the signal. Tae-min looked around. The jungle was thick. Visibility was limited to about 20 meters. Strange sounds echoed through the trees. Animal calls, maybe. Or something else. He made a decision. Sitting still would accomplish nothing. He needed to find water, shelter, and a way to contact the others. He chose a direction and started walking. The jungle was alive with movement. Insects the size of his hand crawled across tree trunks. Something with too many legs skittered away from his footsteps. Above, he heard the sounds of larger creatures moving through the canopy. After an hour of walking, Tae-min found a stream. He tested the water. It looked clear, but testing kits showed high mineral content and traces of bacteria. He used his purification tablets. The water would be safe to drink in a few hours. While he waited, he gathered materials for shelter. His training on Earth served him well. He identified plants that were likely non-toxic by their color and smell. He found vines that could be used as rope. He located a defensible position on high ground near the stream. As he worked, he noticed something. The forest was too quiet. The animal sounds had stopped. That usually meant a predator was near. Tae-min grabbed his knife and moved to cover. He waited, controlling his breathing, listening. A drone emerged from the jungle. It was spherical, about a meter in diameter, covered in sensors and weapons. These drones were supposed to hunt the cadets, but they were programmed with non-lethal parameters. Getting tagged meant you were eliminated from the trial, not killed. But this drone was different. Tae-min could see modifications to its weapon systems. These were not stun weapons. These were lethal. The drone scanned the area. Tae-min stayed hidden, not moving. The drone hovered for a moment, then continued on. It had not detected him. Tae-min's jaw tightened. The sovereignty had not just sabotaged his equipment. They had reprogrammed some of the drones to kill. This was no longer a trial. It was an assassination attempt. He activated his communicator again, trying different channels. Finally, one worked. Bora's voice came through, weak and full of static. Help, drone, malfunction, not stopping. Taemin's training vanished. He ran toward the direction of the signal. Branches tore at his skin. He ignored them. Bora had been his friend. She had trusted him. He would not let her die. He found her in a small clearing. A modified drone had her cornered against a rock face. Her wings were damaged. She could not fly away. The drone was charging its weapons for a lethal strike. Taemin did not hesitate. He picked up a rock the size of his fist and threw it with all his strength. The rock struck the drone's sensor array. It was not enough to destroy the machine, but it got its attention. The drone turned toward him. Taemin ran, not away from the drone, but toward it. The drone fired. Energy blasts missed him by centimeters. He was too fast, too unpredictable. At the last moment, he dove and rolled beneath the drone. His knife flashed upward, cutting into the machine's exposed underside. Sparks flew. The drone wobbled, then crashed to the ground. Bora stared at him in shock. "You destroyed it, with a knife." "Are you hurt?" Taemin asked. "My wing is damaged. I cannot fly. But I will live, thanks to you." Taemin helped her to her feet. "We need to find the others. Something is wrong with this trial. The drones have been modified. They are trying to kill us." Using the communicator, Taemin sent out a general message on all channels. "This is Taemin. The trial has been sabotaged. The drones are lethal. Find cover and wait. I am coming." Over the next few hours, he found 3 more cadets in danger. Each time he used the environment to his advantage. He set traps using vines and sharp rocks. He lured drones into water where their systems short-circuited. He used his knowledge of weak points in their construction to disable them with minimal tools. The other cadets watched in amazement. This human, this Death Worlder, was not just surviving. He was thriving. The hostile environment that terrified them was just another day for him. The drones that hunted them were problems to be solved, not insurmountable threats. By nightfall, Taemin had gathered 15 cadets. Among them were Mireille, Hyunwoo, and several others who had initially mocked him. Now they looked at him with gratitude and respect. "We need to find the drone control hub," Taemin said. "If we can shut it down, the modified drones will stop." "The hub is heavily defended," Hyunwoo said. "The drones guard it." "Then we fight together," Taemin said. "We use teamwork. We use the environment. We survive." He taught them quickly, human guerrilla tactics learned from Earth's long history of warfare. Hit and run. Ambush. Misdirection. Use every advantage. They moved through the jungle as a unit. When drones appeared, they scattered and reformed. They set traps and lured drones into them. Slowly, they fought their way toward the hub's location. When they reached it, they found Dae-hyun and 5 other cadets already there. They were not fighting the drones. They were controlling them. "I knew it," Mireille whispered. Dae-hyun saw them approaching. His expression showed no remorse. "You should have left when you had the chance, human. You do not belong in the galaxy. Tonight you die and everyone will think it was an accident." "Why?" Taemin asked. "What did I do to you?" "You exist," Dae-hyun shouted. "Your kind is too dangerous, too unpredictable. If humans spread across the galaxy, they will dominate everything. The sovereignty sees the truth. You must be stopped now before it is too late." Before Taemin could respond, lights appeared overhead. Shuttles descended from the sky. Commander Woo Jin's voice boomed from speakers. "All cadets stand down. This trial is terminated." Security forces landed around the hub. They had tracked the system breaches. They had seen the modified drones. They had heard Dae-hyun's confession through the open communication channels. Dae-hyun and his allies were arrested immediately. As they were led away, Dae-hyun looked at Taemin one last time. "This is not over. The sovereignty is everywhere. You will never be safe." Commander Woo Jin approached the gathered cadets. He looked at Taemin standing at the front of the group, covered in mud and scratches but unbowed. Cadet Taimin, the commander said formally, your actions today saved multiple lives. You demonstrated leadership, courage, and tactical skill. But more importantly, you demonstrated restraint. You could have killed Dae-hyun and his allies when you had the chance. You chose not to. That is the mark of a true officer. The commander turned to address all the cadets. Let this be a lesson. Strength without wisdom is merely violence. Power without purpose is just destruction. What makes a warrior great is not the ability to kill, but the wisdom to know when not to. Back at the academy, news of the incident spread quickly. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Sovereignty's conspiracy was exposed. Dozens of members were arrested across multiple planets. More importantly, the Council made an announcement. Humanity would be formally welcomed into the galactic community. Earth would receive representation in the Council. Humans would be recognized as equals, not threats. Weeks later, at graduation, Tae-min stood with his class. Mi-rae and Bo-ra stood beside him, wearing their new officer uniforms. Even Hyun-woo, who had mocked him at the beginning, now called him friend. The scanner at the academy gate still flashed red when humans passed through. But now, cadets understood what that meant. Not monster, not threat. Just different. Just strong. Just survivors from a world that taught them resilience. As Tae-min received his commission, he looked out at the crowd and saw something that made his heart swell. 3 more humans stood in the audience. New cadets.